Welcome, everybody. We are here today, myself, Ray Maietta, Jeff Petruzzelli, and Alison Hamilton, to talk about a course Alison will be teaching at our Qualitative Research Summer Intensive. And that course is titled Using Ethnographic Methods in Applied Research, Strategies for Design, Data Collection, and Analysis. It's a new course at the Summer Intensive. By no means is the topic new to Alison. She'll tell us more about that. The course is offered Wednesday and Thursday, July 31st and August 1st. Just a very little about myself. I'm Ray Maietta, president of ResearchTalk, and I'll ask my colleague Jeff Petruzzelli to introduce himself, and then we'll learn more about Alison and have a conversation about the course.
Hi, I'm Jeff Petruzzelli with ResearchTalk. I'm a qualitative research specialist here, and I've been with ResearchTalk since 2001.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Alison, if you could let us know the multitude of things you do. You have a very dynamic and multifaceted life. Couple of roles, which, qualitative inquiry is vital to what you do, and all of them help shape a lot of not only what you do, but what your colleagues are able to do as a result. And then also thinking about this course, the Using Ethnographic Methods in Applied Research, as you round out kind of an introduction to you, what is it from your past that kind of has prepared you not only to be the quote unquote expert in front of the room, but also to kind of feel that, this course, the content is something that we need to put forward?
Thank you so much for having me. So I'm Alison, and I've been with ResearchTalk for over 20 years. I'm very grateful for that. I am an anthropologist by training. So I have a lot of training in ethnography, but I'll come back to that in a moment. And I'm a professor in psychiatry and biobehavioral sciences at UCLA, and a research career scientist and the implementation research director at the VA Greater Los Angeles Center of Innovation. So as you mentioned, Ray, my roles throughout the past, 25 years at these institutions has been heavily qualitative. And I've gone from being the only qualitative person working on projects, mostly federally funded projects, to having large teams of qualitative methodologists doing team-based data collection and analysis. So it's really been a huge evolution in applied, for me, specifically applied health research, though certainly the course extends beyond health-related research. And I really can't even express how excited I am about this course and the fact that I get to teach it and the fact that we're offering it. We have had wonderful ethnography courses at past summer intensives, so I'm certainly not the only one to be bringing it to the table, but I think, what's exciting for me is the experience I'm having, my teams are having, and that's happening in the field of really incorporating ethnographic methods into applied work. So, some of our past courses have been maybe what we would think of as more traditional, time-intensive ethnography, which is beautiful and wonderful, and certainly what I was trained in. But what I have experienced is that it's taken time for ethnographic methods to make their way into applied research. And the fact that we're here now at a point where this is a whole course that I get to do really signals to me how much our qualitative methods in applied research have evolved, and how important it is to think about using these methods in the context of, often rapid turnaround projects or projects that are highly focused on sort of timely deliverables and products, or that are oriented toward affecting some type of change, like a policy change or a practice change. That there is now enough going on in this space that we can write about it and teach about it and mentor people to do it and include it in our proposals and other types of work. So it's it's just it just feels really satisfying that we're at this point now. And I can remember even in some of my earlier courses with ResearchTalk, I would have like a segment or a module on ethnography, just a little piece, and then it sort of grew from there to the point where now we have this 2-day course. And so I could not be more excited to pull together what I've been working on, with my colleagues related to this more applied approach to using ethnographic methods.
It's so interesting to me. I agree with you, but to hear you say it's taken a long time too, when we think about ethnography, it's not new. And not only is it not new, ResearchTalk, the Qualitative Research Summer Intensive, we look at your collection of works you've contributed, both in publication and also presentation, the work you and your colleagues do. So much of it is necessarily informed by ethnography. Mm-hmm. So in informal ways, I think it's been there, but I don't want to go too far into this because I want to keep focused on the course, but what is it about movement within applied research where there is now this explicit acknowledgement and readiness and receptivity to ethnographic research and applied research, even though it's been kind of
been there to do it.
in this driving force underneath what we do.
Yeah, no, it's such a great question, and I think you're right, and I do take comfort in the idea that I'm applying an ethnographic lens, and I have done so throughout my career, whether or not ethnography in particular is front and center in the methods that I'm using. I think that's just my training, my background, but I think that what's made a really big difference in terms of ethnography taking a more prominent place in applied research is an increasing acknowledgement of how important it is to understand context and culture and organizational dynamics, community dynamics. And, we are in a position now in a lot of applied areas of research where people are acknowledging that we're only getting a really small part of the story if we're not understanding people's lived experiences in their actual context where things are happening. We can't just sort of divorce, the little slices of things that we want to know from where those things are happening, how they're unfolding, how people are, communicating with one another, moving through space, et cetera. So I feel like it's not to say that focus hasn't been there at all, because there certainly have been, many examples over the years of wonderful qualitative methodologists studying context. So I'm not in any way suggesting that it's a new thing to do this in applied work even, but I think there's more demand for it. There's more receptivity to it. There's more curiosity about it. And people, even now, mentoring many people, early career investigators are like, I want to learn ethnographic methods. This was not something that I used to hear a whole lot, 10 or 15 years ago. And I think a lot of that just has to do with more and more recognition that if we don't understand context and have ways of understanding context and group dynamics and lived experiences, then we're really missing out on a lot of what we need to know, especially if we're trying to affect some type of change. And that's that applied piece, is that it's not always been the case, of course, in more traditional ethnography, that we are trying to affect change as much as we're trying to just understand what's going on, and shed light on that to the extent of our ability. But so much of the application of ethnographic methods in applied work has to do with, what do we need to know because we are trying to affect change, and usually change meaning some type of improvement, some type of quality improvement.
So this is the first time the course is presented at the summer intensive. As you mentioned, you've kind of snuck in pieces of it in other places and outside of Research Talk. You certainly have guided folks outside of the classroom context, but pulling the course together, of course, people can read your description and fall through, but I'm always interested in kind of how your mind kind of works as you compose the course and things like that. What's top of mind for you? What's been top of mind as you kind of visualize these 2 days, things like that? From the seat of the participant, what do you want them to kind of experience, things like that? So I just want to give you a bit of time to tell us the kinds of things that, you know, are shaping the course as you continue to put it together.
Yeah, it's really fun to put it together, I'll tell you. You know, I'm a very practical person, and so I like to be as practical as possible with people in my courses, in terms of not only thinking about, you know, sort of the roots, the foundation, in this case of ethnographic methods, and what it means to use an ethnographic lens or have an ethnographic sensibility, but also like how to actually get it done, how to do it, how to incorporate these methods into projects that may be a year long or 2 years long or 3 years long, thinking about the ways in which ethnographic methods can correspond to maybe different dimensions of a research question, and what that would look like practically speaking. So not just, you know, sort of theoretically or philosophically, but what does it mean to create a team that's going to use ethnographic methods? What does it mean to use observational methods in different contexts and settings, with different types of teams, potentially within a more kind of time limited or certainly time bound endeavor where you don't have years and years. How do we incorporate data analysis needs into ethnographic work where maybe historically we've more approached things as, you know, sort of constant data collection and you're just learning, and maybe you're leaving some analyses for later down the road, which is of course not what we really emphasize in Research Talk in general. But some of my training would have, you know, kind of led me down that path of my job is to like just keep collecting and put it all together later. And we really emphasize in this work and in this course, I'll emphasize, you know, ways that we can think about data collection and data analysis, infusing throughout and synergizing throughout the course of using ethnographic methods, and also how these methods you know, may involve several different techniques, and the implications of needing to have skills probably spread across the team to accomplish many different components. And you know, sometimes people are surprised when they learn that ethnographic methods can include quantitative methods, and they aren't, you know, only qualitative necessarily. They might be, but so even thinking about the potential for mixed methods within ethnographic methods, and how do we, you know, design and execute studies that have a more applied nature. Typically, they will involve team-based work, not exclusively, but typically just to get the sheer volume of work done. And so I really want to, my goal is to really equip people with tools, like actual tools, not just sort of the idea of tools, but actual tools for using these types of methods, and thinking about team-based work and generating products. That's a big part of it. And I think, you know, one of the reasons, sort of incidentally, why we're seeing more of an embrace of ethnographic methods is that the people who are interested in this type of work are seeing its value. And some of how we see the value of the work is through the products. And so I really want to make sure in the course that we're like kind of taking that whole, you know, life course of designing research questions and thinking about ethnographic methods at the point of formulating and conceptualizing research questions all the way through to using these methods and generating products from the use of these methods. So it is ambitious, but I am super up to the task, and I've been thinking about it a lot, and I've just been so excited to put all this together and to have 2 days to do it so that we can really work through different things that people are working on, and bring this to life through lots of different research topics, which we always see in our Research Talk courses because of our diversity of participants.
You know, it's so great that you're basically looking at this. It's an important moment for what we're doing, but you know, there's this myth that has been out there that, oh, ethnography must be long, it must be boring, and therefore it can't. And you're just kind of blowing that up and just kind of be like, well, no. And, you know, here's how we can really kind of keep true to the traditions and benefit from them. So rather than, you know, avoid it, embrace it and empower your work in the process. It's just really, really important. I wanted to give Jeff a chance to come in and, you know, yeah, Jeff, just let us know what's on your mind. And then I have one question for you, Alison, that'll bring us to a close today. We could keep going, but life prevents us, unfortunately. So yeah, Jeff, what are you thinking of as we're talking?
Yeah, Alison, you've taught quite a few different courses for us over the years, whether it be implementation research, rapid turnaround, qualitative research, mixed methods, conducting interviews and focus groups. So I'm just wondering, for participants that have worked with you in the past, taken classes with you in the past, what what is kind of the takeaway, the advantage of now taking this class, in conjunction with classes they've already taken with you?
Such a good question, Jeff. I feel like this class has given me, as I prepare for it, has given me an opportunity to pull a lot of different threads together from courses that I've taught over the years, and allows me to bring in a lot of my more recent thinking and work on what I've been calling pragmatic ethnography, to really expand what I've been able to do more minimally in other courses. So it's not to say that, prior participants in my courses would hear nothing from past courses, because I'm certainly going to draw on some materials from past courses because they're just part of how I do qualitative methods. But there's going to be just this opportunity to expand pretty extensively on how ethnography can inform what we do with our qualitative and our mixed methods types of research questions. And I've just never been able to do that. So I hope people will come back for more because it is new and it is exciting, and there's so much great work going on in this area too that this course allows me to pull together. A group of us had done a scoping review of the use of ethnography and implementation research, and so there's so much happening, in other words, that we're starting to see things like scoping reviews and more like syntheses of things that are going on. And so there's a lot to draw on. And what's so nice about the work that's being done by many folks in the field is that they are developing and innovating tools for this type of work. And so now I have this amazing opportunity to bring everything I can find together. And I love the literature and I love to bring as many things together as I can. So I'm just like building this, sort of repository of things that I think, people are learning from and kind of riffing on, that's going to make it really fun for us all to explore and discuss what's possible, what's being done, and what could be done in the future.
Great. One last thought. When folks make decisions for our courses, there's a range of strategies that they have. There's also a range of approaches. Some folks will only read the beginning part of a title. They may read the first 3 words. And one of our concerns with this course is people may see using ethnographic methods like, oh, I can't afford that. So with that in mind, speaking to that crowd and others, Can you close this up today with an example of a project where you did not use ethnographic methods, but the project really could have benefited from introducing and integrating ethnographic methods more deeply?
Absolutely. I could probably think of several where I was like, I wish we had done ethnography. One that comes to mind, and again, I do a lot of health-related research, a lot of interventional research, and one that comes to mind for me was a larger scale trial that my colleagues and I were doing to improve quality of care for people with serious mental illness. So multi-site. Obviously, I can't be in more than one place at one time. This was at a time where I think I was like the only qualitative person on the team. And we had, and we were learning about implementation. This was many years ago, learning about what it means to try to do new things in settings where they already sort of had their ways of doing things. And I was trying to train folks at our sites to be a little bit ethnographic in their ways of telling us what was happening locally that we couldn't possibly access otherwise. And I wasn't super successful at that. I had some people who were really into doing that and some people who were not. And I felt at the time like, oh, I really wish I could be in every one of these sites. I really wish I could observe and understand and witness, and do a more thorough, contextual assessment, organizational assessment than I was able to do. And, ultimately really had to rely on interviews because that was my most sort of consistent body of data available. And I kept thinking at the time, and have thought ever since then, I really wish that I had been more successful at using an ethnographic approach. But I think even I at the time had that feeling like, oh, I'm not gonna, like you said, Ray, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that because of resources, because of time, et cetera, because of what I thought would need to happen for it to be ethnographic. And that's really changed over time, and changed, due to many people doing great work. It's changed in my own work because I saw what we missed out on by not having an ethnographic approach. And I've seen subsequently where when we have embraced a very, again, pragmatic approach to ethnography, where our knowledge and understanding and actual ability to achieve the goals of the project are greatly enhanced by incorporating ethnographic methods. So even if people feel initially like, oh, well, I can't do that because I'm not an anthropologist, or I can't do that because I don't have enough time or money, this course is really designed for folks who may have those feelings, to say it's actually possible. There are great things that we can do with ethnographic methods that we can include in, time limited and resource limited projects. And, that's what I'm going to be there to talk about, and to help people to explore and to say, yeah, it's actually possible. It's great. It's valuable. And we can all do it. Yay.
Well, I can't think of a better way to bring us to a close and say it's actually possible. We can all do it. It's great. Thank you so much for that. That's a wonderful way for us to wrap what could be a much longer conversation. So thank you so much for your time, Alison. Thank you, Jeff, for your contribution. And we'll close out for today. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.